Hey YouTube, we're on San Clemente Island. I didn't mean to actually position the aircraft on the runway, but since I did and started out that way, I didn't want to take the time to go back to the main menu and reset it up, so I'll just start the engines from here. Because I had my mixture off, even though the engine started running, the engines automatically shut off, so I will go ahead and get the aircraft started again. No, the avionics are obviously on, yeah. Okay, and what I was thinking is I'm curious to know, I know in X-Plane 11 that 117.6, I believe it was, let me look on SkyVector, yeah, 117.6 for NUC, which is the waypoint, or one of the waypoints here on the island, it did not work, so I'm curious to know if it does work here. So I'd like to program that and see if I can just use it as a reference here today while I fly around the island, but my intent is to just fly around the island and see what it looks like in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Let's see. 1176, isn't that what I said? Yeah, 1176. Let's switch it over. And let me switch to VOR. I want to switch that back just to see if it does anything. Yeah, so I can't tell that I'm picking up anything in regards to location. So much for that idea. We don't need it. The island is small. We can fly around the island and easily find the runway and land. Okay, I'm going to leave the yoke like that for now away. That way I can easily come back here, turn off the landing and taxi lights once I get in the air. And I can also release the brakes. So I'm going to step outside the aircraft here for a minute. Alright, everything appears good there. Lights. Lights. I'm releasing the brake with the rudder pedals. No, it doesn't do that like it does in X-Plane. Okay. So in X-Plane 11, I wasn't really satisfied or very happy with how the island looked, and I was kind of curious to know whether or not it was any better or more notable to see in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, which is why I'm doing this, rotating. Flaps up. In X-Plane 11, the island looked like it lacked a lot of vegetation, like there wasn't much there. And so far, what I'm seeing here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is about the same. I don't see a whole lot yet, but then again, we barely started exploring the island. So things could change, and might be a better experience. I see some wind turbines up there, which I did not see before. Landing and taxi off. We'll put the yoke back in place. I think it'd be really cool in real life to be on this island and just have the opportunity to walk around it, explore it. I know I personally would probably spend the whole day just walking around the island. Even if I had to walk the perimeter, I'd walk the perimeter. And if I'm not mistaken, the island's about 20 or so miles long, so it could be done in a day. Be a long walk, but it could be done. All right, let me give it some trim, see if I can pick up some speed here. Still nosing up on me. I might hit the autopilot just to get it to level out and then use the heading indicator to change directions. But I was just going to hand fly it, which is what I did in X-Plane. Yeah, definitely a lot more detail on the island. So if we were to actually fly around it in a real Cessna, we'd probably see a lot similar to what we're seeing here. Oh, well, thank you. I wasn't asking for approval. Given that it's a military island, though, I can see why they might have been concerned about it. What is that up there? Is that a small runway? I kind of want to look. Okay, what do I need to do? Switch to comms here? I've gone rogue, can't you tell? Just stop radioing me. So yeah, that looks like a dirt runway or a construction zone, but I could certainly probably land there safely enough. Do we see any aircraft? And I got the impression that they do ship-to-shore live firing on this island, and I may be mistaken about that. Maybe they don't do ship-to-shore live firing. Maybe they just do ship-to-shore, with the U.S. Marines or something, and the light armored vehicles that they use for their shore landings. That might be what was meant on Wikipedia, and I may have misunderstood it. I'd have to go back and look to find out. That looks like fun. I'd like to explore that little area down there. Maybe even do some scuba diving and look for coves. If I go scuba diving, I'm liable to meet with some Navy SEALs. Hope y'all can hear some audio from the aircraft. I personally can't hear anything. Some interesting scratches once the shadow and the lighting hits the windows. Looks like a cat fight had been in there or something. Somebody threw a cat in the Cessna and it was trying to get out real bad. See my reflection off of the water down there. The reflection of the Cessna. I'm not doing very good with straight and level flight, and it looks like I'm in the red zone over there for the RPMs. It was flashing red on me. I'm not paying attention to the aircraft, but uh, better pilot would be. I have to overhaul the engine when I get back. That's an interesting structure down there. Maybe barracks or something for the military. And that looks like a nice hike up the side of the mountain. So I can almost guarantee some Marines live there or visit there. Yeah, let me give this plane some more power, and I want to climb. I'll just see if I can do it without the engine screaming at me. If I was getting any audible alert from the multifunction display regarding the engines, I didn't hear it. I see a car moving down there on the road. I don't know if you can pick that up on YouTube. It's very close to the shore. If I take my thumb off the hat button, I won't be able to move the mouse and still be able to see that area. But he's driving along towards the left. Yeah, he can't see him now. If you saw him. Tomorrow morning in the next plane, I'll be flying to that island over there. At least I think that's the one. There's 3 islands I intend to visit. This was one of them, so there's 2 more. Probably that one there is the one that's nearest and where we're headed. Yeah, the visuals in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 are outstanding in many cases. I'm not always pleased with what I see, but many times, like this, it's the island looks a whole lot nicer. It is sparse, just like it shows up in X-Plane 11. There's not a lot of vegetation. Um, it's like if you look down there, there's some trees, but it doesn't look like you know they're not very big trees. They're more like small shrubs and bushes and things. And then the top of the island. I mean, it's all clear and open. It looks like you could off road easily. And that might not be how it is in real life, but if this is any representation of what it was really like, yeah, you could off road. And that's pretty much how it comes off as being in X-Plane 11 as well. It just doesn't look as refined. As it's all blended together. It's one big heap of dirt, whereas this has nooks and crannies and crevices and canyons and uneven aspects to it more so than it is in X-Plane 11. I just posted that video this morning if you'd like to take a look at it in comparison to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. That there, I don't like the coloring on, the way the light's hitting it. Let's see if there's any ships or anything worth seeing out that way. I suppose I could have tried programming an RNAV landing. I didn't think to do it while I was on the ground, and I don't really want to fiddle with the Garmin while I'm in the air, so I'm just going to do a visual approach and landing. I know we're coming up in the spot because that's the end of the island over there, the tip of it, not to mention the wind turbines that are there. So I'm just going to go out to sea a little bit. Once I start seeing the runway, I'll turn in and land. And it would be good for me to practice visual approaches as well. I don't need to always do instrument landings. You see the reflection of the water off of the top of the strut over there in the window. At least it looks like it might be reflection from water. If it's not what it is, what is it? It's weird. A little bit on that side too. Less noticeable. I wonder what flying a Cessna in real life is like. Because when I'm manually flying, for the most part, it just seems like almost like a dream. it just feels right and comfortable. Um, I don't want to use the word fun because that denotes some element of excitement. I'm not getting any excitement. It's more relaxing for me to actually fly it than excitable. But I can only imagine that the aspect of actually being in the air and you've got these wings that you're relying on and your engine and your equipment to keep you alive. Whereas when you're in the car, well, how often are you in a position where you could drop off of a cliff and die? But in a Cessna, you could potentially something could happen and you could drop a couple thousand feet and that's the end of it. Kind of want to get my wings parallel or mostly parallel with the runway and then turn in. That's pretty much the concept I have of what I want to accomplish here. I just need to get that runway where I can see it out my window. I don't have track IR yet, so turning my head and being able to look is only doable if I use the mouse. I mean, I can use the hat button, but then I've got to keep my thumb on it, and then sometimes it slips off, and then it does that number. All right, and we're going to have to kind of come in from an elevated altitude, so I'm going to decrease engine speed significantly, lower some flaps, slow turn in, and I might do a series of S turns upon actually getting to the runway. Oh no, we're doing fine. We're not too high. We're too high, but we're not overly too high. A little faster than I want to be. I'm trying to slow it down some. I think I've got all my flaps extended. And I'm dropping quickly. All right, 60 knots. I think one wheel slightly gently touched the ground before the other one, but it felt good. I felt balanced and I felt like I had it under control, so I wasn't worried about it all. But I'm pretty sure, based off of feel, that my left wheel touched down first, and I would love to be able to do a replay and demonstrate that, but um, As many people are aware that are watching this video that have Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, that capacity is not built into this game yet, replays. It'll be great when it is. Kind of makes you wonder why they left it out. When their previous versions, you know, like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2002, 2004, Flight Simulator X, all had replay functionality. Why would their new one not? Was it too much trouble? Were they in a hurry to get it out the door before launch? Is that why they sold it as a half-baked product? And it is. The visuals are great, sure. And you can fly around in your aircraft, sure. But it's missing many features. It is half-baked. No ifs, ands, or buts. And that's why I purchased the basic version and not the deluxe, because I was very concerned that I would purchase it and then not really appreciate it as much as I wanted to. But between this one and being able to fly around like that and see the visuals, that's what I really enjoy about this one. And I mean, I do enjoy the visuals in Microsoft, or excuse me, in X-Plane. I think that was my turn off there. In X-Plane 11, oh no. But they're just not, it's not like flying around in big maps like it is in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It's still nice, but you know, like with the Hoover Dam, I went to the Hoover Dam with X-Plane 11, and without downloading additional content that's not even produced by Laminar, who produces X-Plane, you know, it's just third-party content providers, you know, you can get, or you know, other people out there that have just added the Hoover Dam, you can download and add it. But I didn't want to add that scenery, you know, but you can come into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and it's there without needing to add it. So it kind of makes it sound like X-Plane 11 is also a half-baked product. The thing is no product is ever 100%. So they're all going to be half-baked products until they've gotten enough releases or you've added enough content of your own that makes it more of a fully baked product, or whatever you might consider done. Laminar Research might not be so overly concerned about the graphics so much as they are about the flight dynamics and things, how the aircraft work and whatnot. Whereas Microsoft might be more concerned about how it looks than they are about how the aircraft works. And that's pretty much how it seems. X-Plane 11, you definitely get a better flight experience than you do in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, but in the reverse, you definitely get better visuals, better graphics. Things just look nicer in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 overall. So it's kind of nice bouncing back and forth between them to be able to compare them and appreciate them for what they have to offer. And I used to play a lot more flight gear than I do these days, but even flight gear on some level I still appreciate, despite its graphics being very old in comparison. Very, yeah. And even the flight experience isn't as good as X-Plane 11. Excuse me. But it's still decent. It's still good. And it's still fun because, you know, you don't have a fully blown GPS to rely on if you want to. You got to go by the radio stack mostly. And that's what I appreciate about flight gear, is needing to really rely on your older instruments. Ooh, BMW. At least I think it's a BMW. Or is that a Volkswagen? It's probably a Volkswagen. I'm not looking for the perfect spot to park. I'm just going to park alongside or parallel with that guy right there. All right, maybe move forward just a little bit more. All right, I'll hit the brakes and he'll fly right by. Hit the brakes and turn it off. I didn't turn my taxi and landing lights on for my landing there. I'm telling on myself, flaps up. I really would do a replay for you if I could, but I can't, so I'm sorry about that. All right, YouTube, thank you all for watching.